It was during a radio interview on Planet X I invited Ben Emlyn Jones along to one of my public events. Ben had seen my work. Intrigued, open-minded but sceptical, Ben wanted to experience himself genuine spiritual activity. I brought Ben along to the Chequers Inn in Ullesthorpe. A public event, a gathering of a small group of people. He wasn't disappointed.
I'm in a charming rustic little place called Ullesthorpe, which is in Leicestershire, and I'm here with Don Phillips. And I'm sure if you listen to Paranormal Radio regularly, you'll know Don Phillips from the brilliant interviews I've done with him on Planet X Radio and on CMR. So Don,
Ben,
we are in a place, what's this place called we're in?
This is the Chequers Inn in Ullesthorpe, Leicestershire.
Pub, nice pub, serves lovely ale and everything.
And a good curry.
Definitely
good curry.
And what are we doing here this evening?
Well, on the show, Ben, I invited you along to an event, didn't I?
You did, yes.
This is that event.
Here you are.
Here we are.
He kept his promise, I'm here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So he's been fed.
I have, yeah.
He's been watered.
I have, I'm very grateful.
Thanks, Josh. So what do you think anyway? I
think it's a lovely, charming place.
It is, isn't it?
It has an atmosphere to it, which I do can detect. I mean, we're actually here to investigate some of the phenomena that have been appearing here, the spirit phenomena that have been appearing in this pub. And at the moment, there's still plenty of people in here drinking. Jukebox is playing, it's active, but we're going to be hanging around long after closing time, which is unusual for me when it comes to pubs, I must say. And hopefully then we may be able to pick up some of the strange phenomena.
Well, particularly Alice, the little girl that's been seen. Alice. I mean, we've actually recorded the voice on the video of the team investigation that we did here. I've not actually put it out yet, but there's a couple of very good recordings, very compelling recordings.
So Alice is the spirit of a young girl?
Apparently, yeah, aged between 5 and 7.
And she must have.
And she's been seen.
She must have lived in this area or maybe in this pub at some point.
So
it's an old pub. It's what, 17th century?
Goes back 1700s, yeah.
So it's an old pub. It could have been someone who lived here at some point in that time period.
Could have been. Apparently, there's the cellar downstairs. Many years ago, around that era, there was a big fire, and apparently some children got burnt there.
Oh dear. It's often events like this that actually create these kind of phenomena. Actually, there's many. If you go to a haunted location, is this right? I mean, hospitals. Hospitals in particular have a lot of activity, and there's been some ghost stories in my hospital. But whenever there's something like this happens,
yeah, well, people say that, but these guys are everywhere. They are literally everywhere. I think some places, I mean, like in this room now, it's a concentrated area. So if there was, say, 10 spirits, it'd be a lot more apparent than if it was in a,
I remember you telling me every house is a haunted house, really.
Well, I'd say a pretty high percentage of them, to be honest.
I mean, it's quite an anachronistic kind of area. I mean, there's a house next door to this pub where there's a guy who's got the remains of a windmill in his back garden. It's really quite remarkable.
Well, so remains, it's basically a fully fledged windmill, isn't it?
Well, there's no sails on it, but
no,
it's very distinctive, a windmill covered in ivy. It's a beautiful sight, actually. We're very single-minded about this, I gather. I mean, I've noticed that about you, and you've probably produced more data than anyone else I've heard of on this subject.
I've certainly put a lot of stuff out since I've sort of come into the public eye.
Yeah.
And it's every single location that we'll go to.
And you've appeared on the This Morning programme as well.
I've been on quite a few bits, yeah.
With our mutual friend, Professor Chris French.
Mr. French.
Good old Frenchie.
Hello, Chris, if you're watching this.
She probably is, yeah.
She possibly might be.
MBO.
At some point.
That's a private joke. But now, while you were in that studio, you actually also located a spirit that was actually wandering around that studio, which one of the crew spotted.
The ITV then invited me in on Supernatural Weekend Donkin to do an investigation because it's been reported there's a poltergeist here called Norman Grimshaw. Yeah, fine. I thought, great, we'll go down, we'll find out, and even if he's not there, I thought there's bound to be guys there as I term them anyway. And great if they're going to put that out, but that was a bit of naivety on my part.
Yeah,
didn't want to put it out. Anyway, Becky, obviously a lot of people know who Becky is now, my closest spirit friend. The ITV crew said, will we hear Becky? I said, yeah. And I actually promised them they'd hear a sentence. So I said, Becky, this Poltergeist called Norman, supposed to be around the hub area. Is he? And Becky says quite clearly, I'm in the hub and Norman's there, and that kind of freaked the crew out a little bit, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very successful investigation. Obviously, I couldn't do what I normally do because of Ofcom rules. I wasn't allowed to use digital recorders and everything. The actual footage that I put out was just in the hotel room or during the break, but not actually part of the BT. But yeah, it was pretty interesting, man.
I mean, now, if you talk to people in the street, there's a great bit of difference. I've always said between folk knowledge and official knowledge. And if you talk to people in the street, I mean, most people you encounter, ordinary people, may well relate some kind of ghost story to you which has happened in their own personal life. In terms of folk memory and folk knowledge, there's no doubt that this is a real phenomenon. But officially, it just doesn't exist. Officially,
it never will officially, because as we said before, officially people don't want it to exist.
I know.
Majority of them crying out saying, "Oh, show us some evidence." Say, "Well, no, here's some evidence," and they don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking before we began this, before I actually came here tonight, I was thinking, well, one of the questions I was going to ask you is, will you ever be able to prove this? But then I thought to myself, well, you already have. Yeah, exactly. You've done it 100 times over. It's been proved.
Well, yeah, I mean, the spirit, the experiments, that video alone, that has probably got more spirit interaction and clear voices, many different voices, than probably any of the video out there.
Is this at the Ram?
No, not the Ram. That's the one at the Northampton, in the cellar with the underwater ones as well.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, they are clear voices that you can hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a remarkable film. I do urge people to watch it, and we'll be able to tell everyone about your YouTube channel in a minute, because that's very, very interesting. But I urge listeners also to go to the description box, the notes on this film, where there are the radio interviews I've done with Don, which will just give you a bit more background into what he does. So, really, I mean, the challenge to me, as I see it now, is not so much to...
It's simple. No. I've said, since I've come into the public eye, I have proved that these guys are real. You cannot dispute. I mean, the video which you've been talking about, Spirit, the Experiment, you cannot refute the fact that they are many different types, male, female, and different accents or voices. Okay.
They appear on different recorders, in different locations. I mean, I myself have had encounters with beings that I didn't...
So I mean, yeah, it's proved. Like as I've already said, if you want it proven scientifically, which I don't believe anyone does, then so many scientists.
Yeah, it's exactly. You've challenged these people.
It's a friendly offer. If you really want to know and you really want to prove it, then I'm just a guy to do it. Yeah. Well, me and the guys, obviously.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean, our challenge is just not to prove something because it's all been proven. I think the challenge now is, in a sense, we need some kind of cultural revolution, really. So that this phenomena, which has been proved, will be accepted.
It never will be.
A paradigm shift, if you like.
Yeah, but it will be, will it?
You never know. I mean, I remain hopeful. I mean, for example, when Christopher Columbus arrived in the Americas, he met the local people, the Indians, and they were telling him. One thing he was surprised was that when somebody dies, no one really gets upset. They just continue the relationship with their loved one in the spirit world, and for them, it's just the person has moved house, and that's because they had that kind of culture. It was in that paradigm that accepted this is normal. We live in a very, very different culture.
Yeah, but as I said previously, Ben, I think on the radio show, the problem that we've got is spirits are part of the natural world.
Yeah. We
no longer live in a natural world. We live in a man-made world, which has got very little provision for the acceptance of spirits.
That's true. I mean, in your view, do you think this is just ignorance on the part of society, or do you think there's some kind of deliberate attempt to suppress this knowledge?
I actually do believe in some quarters there is a deliberate attempt to suppress the knowledge.
Now, another thing I want to bring up with you is to talk about your own personal investigations. Now, you, along with the data you've collected, the evidence you've collected, I've noticed that you have a distinct code of ethics as well in what you do. There's certain rules which you abide by, which you won't break, and I think that's a good thing, because I think in a lot of the world of paranormal investigation today, you find an absence of that, and that leads to disastrous results. I think the subject has been trivialised a little bit
Yeah, there are groups out there that will basically tell anybody anything to get into a place to investigate it. And oh, we can help you when chances are, there's very good chance a lot of times they can't. They want to be there to be the one to get that picture, you know, and everything. But for me, it's not about that. At the end of the day, primarily, it's about helping people, and that's it. Yeah. The events, as you know, I mean, at the advertising standards agency, just over 12 months ago, all over me, you can't put this, you can't put that. You know, well, yeah, I can. For entertainment purposes only, well, no, because it's not. You know, I use these events to help educate people and people to understand and people that actually want to know. Not such as our guests that are actually here to see them. I actually think that any group that's actually going to go into the public's homes under any pretense, paranormal or not, or in contact with children or anything else, should all be CRB checked legally. I think that should be the law.
Fair enough.
I think that'd be a good way to go.
It's definitely you need.
You get good people turn up at your door. You don't know their past. You don't know what they're capable of. You know, some of them could still be within the criminal vicinity. You don't know if you can get stuff stolen or anything. You know, so I just think as well, especially when on occasion I come into contact with children, you know, because of what I do. So again, it'd be good for people to all. I think it should be law that you should have a check.
Well, John, first I want to thank you for being on Paranormal TV. And it's been great. And we're going to have a great time this evening, aren't we?
We are. We'll be starting in about 15 minutes or so. So I know you wanted to speak to one or two members of the team. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm now going to disappear, but everyone farewell. And thank you, Ben. And I shall see you in a few moments, mate.
Thank you, John.
Get ready for the investigation.
Nice one.
Brilliant. Thanks.
And now we're about to start on an actual investigation here at the Chequers Inn. So join me after the investigation and we'll just find out how it went.
I'm doing it. It's very fast. You know, sometimes they speak quick. But it says, I'm doing it. Listen to this. Brilliant. We're downstairs with Becky. Listen to this. Can you hear that? No, it's not. We're downstairs with Thomas. Listen. Again. That's a very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah?
sounds like more than one, more than one.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, but it's quiet.
Can you hear that over there?
Yeah,
Hundreds of people.
Hundreds of people.
Hang on. Shh. Good.
Who's there?
we'll just try.
Oh. You're just trying, yeah.
It's fine, it sounds fine.
Hang on. It is foreign, isn't it, that?
You just
Look for it. Want it?
Wanted the second voice and said, look for
No.
that's
Ben's face. I just see your eyes getting bigger and bigger, mate.
that's the most incredible thing. That really is. That's so clear.
That is, you can't dispute that's a
it.
child,
It
can
sounds
you?
to me as
It's a
if
boy. It's a, yeah,
one
young
says
boy.
look, then somebody says for it.
That has got to be the favourite of the night.
Yeah. I'm personally very impressed. I mean, we went all over. We even went into the cellar where the beer barrels were. Now, what we did was Don played the recordings. He did some of these recordings, which is EVP or AVP, actual voice phenomena, he calls it. And some of them were extremely impressive, including one particular one in which you hear a number of men singing, like a male voice choir, and there's another one in which you hear several young boys, it sounds like young boys anyway, talking loudly and very clearly indeed. Extremely impressive. And I was actually there when that was recorded, and I can assure you there were no noises, no sounds coming in at all at that time. We were all sitting there quietly while Don was pressing the record button. So I take EVP very seriously. I think it's a worthwhile form of study, and I don't dismiss it. I don't think it's radio waves, because this is a voice recorder. It doesn't pick up radio waves. It wasn't any ambient sound at all, I can promise you that. I think it is spirits using our recording audio media to communicate with us in some ways. What they say doesn't always make sense, but then we don't know. They don't necessarily think like we do when they're spirits. We can't anthropomorphise ghosts. Anyway, I'm very, very grateful to Don Phillips for inviting me along to this event. Please keep your eye on the description box, and also I'll do a written review. And thank you, Paranormal TV viewers, for watching.